Unveiling Franklin Pierce, the untold journey of America's 14th president. Franklin Pierce, often dubbed the Forgotten President, served as the 14th president of the United States. Despite his significant role, his presidency is overshadowed in history, leaving many aspects of his leadership and policies lesser known. Born in a log cabin in Hillsborough, New Hampshire, Franklin Pierce's early years were marked by humble beginnings. These formative years were crucial, shaping his character and instilling in him values that would guide his future. Pierce's journey to politics began with his education. He attended Bowdoin College, where he honed his skills and developed a network that would later support his ascent in the political arena, highlighting his early promise. Entering the political stage at a young age, Pierce quickly distinguished himself as a capable statesman. His early career was characterized by rapid advancement, demonstrating his adeptness at navigating the complexities of politics. Franklin Pierce's personal life, particularly his marriage to Jane Means Appleton, played a significant role in his life. Despite facing personal tragedies, including the loss of their children, his family life deeply influenced his perspective and decisions. Franklin Pierce's military service during the Mexican-American War significantly shaped his public image. Despite lacking prior combat experience, Pierce enlisted as a brigadier general. His involvement, although marred by injuries, elevated his national stature. The road to the presidency was an unexpected journey for Pierce. In the 1852 election, he emerged as a dark horse candidate for the Democrats. His amiable personality and compromise stance on contentious issues won him the nomination. Upon his inauguration, Franklin Pierce aimed to unify a nation divided by regional and political strife. His early presidency focused on promoting policies that he believed would foster national harmony and prosperity, setting a conciliatory tone. Pierce's domestic policies emphasized expansion and infrastructure development. However, his administration is most notably marred by the Kansas-Nebraska Act. This controversial law effectively repealed the Missouri Compromise, reigniting fierce debates over slavery's expansion. His stance on slavery, particularly his support for the Kansas-Nebraska Act, cast a long shadow over Pierce's presidency. The act led to violent conflicts in Kansas and deepened the divide between the North and South, exacerbating tensions that would lead to civil war. Franklin Pierce sought to expand America's borders through strategic diplomacy, emphasizing foreign affairs. His administration successfully acquired land and opened trade, marking a period of territorial growth. Pierce's vision was to strengthen the nation's global stance. Domestically, Pierce's governance was characterized by a hands-on approach to policymaking. Despite facing a divided Congress, he managed to push through several significant legislations. His policies, however, sparked controversy, especially regarding the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which inflamed tensions over slavery. The Kansas-Nebraska Act, perhaps the most contentious aspect of Pierce's presidency, allowed territories to decide on the legality of slavery. This law not only heightened tensions between North and South, but also fractured the Democratic Party and led to violence in Kansas. On the international stage, Pierce's efforts in foreign affairs led to the Gadsden Purchase, expanding U.S. territory in the Southwest. His administration also sought to secure influence in Central America, aiming to establish American power across the Western Hemisphere. Pierce's cabinet played a crucial role in his presidency, comprising key figures who influenced his domestic and foreign policies. Despite facing opposition and challenges, this group navigated a divided nation, leaving a complex legacy that historians continue to analyze. Franklin Pierce's popularity waned as his presidency progressed. Initially seen as a unifier, his stance on key issues like slavery began to alienate both the North and South. Public perception shifted, marking his leadership as divisive. The toll of leadership was evident in Pierce's personal life, particularly concerning his mental health. The loss of his children and the pressures of presidency contributed to a noticeable decline in his well-being, casting a shadow over his tenure. An assassination attempt on Pierce, although not widely known, marked a dramatic moment in his presidency. This incident, while he emerged unscathed, underscored the contentious atmosphere of his time in office and the palpable tensions. After his presidency, Pierce's life took a quieter turn, yet he remained a figure of interest. His later years were spent reflecting on his time in office, dealing with personal losses, and staying relatively removed from public political debates. Pierce's legacy is complex and often subject to historical reassessment. While some view his presidency as a failure, others argue it sheds light on the challenges of leadership during one of America's most tumultuous periods. Franklin Pierce's presidency was marred by several controversies and scandals, casting a long shadow over his tenure. His support for the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which effectively repealed the Missouri Compromise by allowing these territories to choose whether to allow slavery, ignited a firestorm of public backlash. This decision not only exacerbated tensions between the North and South, but also divided the Democratic Party, contributing significantly to the nation's slide into civil war. Missouri Compromise, by allowing these territories to choose whether to allow slavery, ignited a firestorm of public backlash. This decision not only exacerbated tensions between the North and South, but also divided the Democratic Party, contributing significantly to the nation's slide into civil war. Despite his contentious presidency, Franklin Pierce's years following his term in office were marked by personal reflection and an attempt to maintain a low profile. His views on the Civil War were particularly controversial, as he was a vocal critic of Abraham Lincoln's policies, especially regarding civil liberties. Pierce's sympathy for the Confederacy further alienated him from many in the North, casting a pall over his post-presidential legacy. The death of Franklin Pierce marked the end of an era, but it did little to immediately rehabilitate his image. As the 14th President of the United States, his passing was noted with a mixture of indifference and scrutiny, with his presidential decisions continuing to be a point of debate among historians and the public alike. In modern times, Franklin Pierce's impact on American politics is often overlooked, overshadowed by the presidents who directly succeeded him. However, his presidency offers valuable lessons on the complexities of leadership in a divided nation, and his decisions provide a case study in how personal beliefs can influence public policy for better or worse. Pierce's representation in media and literature further reflects the mixed legacy he left behind. While not as prominently featured as other presidents, his tenure is occasionally explored in historical novels and documentaries, offering insights into his leadership during one of America's most tumultuous periods. These portrayals contribute to the ongoing reassessment of his presidency and its place in the broader narrative of American history. Comparing Franklin Pierce to other presidents reveals a complex figure often overshadowed by his contemporaries. While some achieved great fame or notoriety, Pierce's tenure is marked by his controversial stance on issues like slavery, which arguably hastened the Civil War's onset. This comparison highlights the varied paths to and impacts of presidential leadership. The Pierce homestead stands as a testament to the early life and legacy of Franklin Pierce, offering insights into the personal background and family life of America's 14th president. Its preservation allows for a tangible connection to a figure who played a significant role in the nation's history, despite the controversies that marred his presidency. Across the country, museums and memorials dedicated to Franklin Pierce serve not only to honor his service, but also to educate the public about his contributions and the challenges of his time. These sites provide a space for reflection on the complexities of leadership and governance in a rapidly growing and divided nation. Scholarly debates on Pierce's presidency remain divided, with some historians emphasizing his failures in preventing the spread of slavery and others pointing to his efforts in foreign policy and expansion. These debates underscore the difficulties in evaluating a presidency that was fraught with national tension and personal tragedy. Revisiting the life and legacy of Franklin Pierce invites a nuanced understanding of a president often relegated to the margins of history. It encourages a reassessment of his leadership and decisions in the context of his time, acknowledging both his shortcomings and his contributions to the nation's story. Thank you for joining us on this insightful journey through Franklin Pierce's legacy. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating biographical videos and to stay tuned for our next captivating installment. Until next time, let's continue exploring the rich tapestry of American history together.